This is an overview of Enzoic for Active Directory updated to the version 3.5. My name is Josh Parsons and I'm the product manager here at Enzoic. And today we'll walk through the solution as well as some of the features in this newest release. And what we have here is the main dashboard where you can see all of your alerts for compromised passwords, compromised credentials, and enforce NIST 863b password compliance. You'll notice there are a few alerts. We have several passwords that have been found in a data breach, and also we want to be NIST compliant. So this alert tells us that we need to update a setting in order to achieve that. And the dashboard is very simple and very actionable. So moving over to monitoring policies. This is where you configure everything. Monitored entities is where we can add the users, groups, containers, and OUs we would like monitored, and set up custom policies for each. And these policies can be different from one another. Here under password changes, we can check to see if a password is compromised before a user sets it as their own password. And this is informed by Enzoic's 24/7 dedicated threat research, which identifies compromised data on the dark web, including passwords and full credential pairs. So by having this checked, you are ensuring that the passwords users set are secure from day one and they haven't been previously compromised. Let's try checking this here and update our configuration. Now we can see in the main dashboard that we are now compliant with NIST 863b password policies. This next tab is password monitoring, and this is important because while a password can be safe today, that doesn't mean it can't become compromised tomorrow, especially with how common password reuse is. This allows you to configure a remediation action when their password is detected as compromised. Credentials monitoring is the same idea, with the difference being that a credential is a username and password combination, and when that's detected as compromised, it's a significant security risk. So a best practice might be if you have someone with admin privileges, you may want to choose to disable the account if their full credential pair is compromised. We also give you very detailed control over your password policies. So you can require numbers, symbols, uppercase, lowercase, reject common passwords, and prohibit new passwords that might be too similar to their current one. We make it possible for you to enforce requirements for lowercase, uppercase, numbers, and symbols and passwords as a part of the same password policy. And this is something that Active Directory wouldn't allow you to configure all at once, as they can only require 3 out of the 4 categories. So we give you much more granular control here. And the screen root passwords feature helps catch passwords that might be weak, even if the user has added numbers or symbols. And it works by identifying the root word in a password, removing any numbers or special characters at the start or end, and then checking if the base word is compromised. So for example, if someone tries to set their password as password123, Enzoic will strip it down to just password and check if that root word is on any compromised password lists. This way, even if users add extra characters to a weak base word, Enzoic can still detect it and prompt them to choose something safer. And this feature works in addition to all of the other password policies and checks that you have set up in Enzoic. Under Settings, you can set the allowable time before a timeout when calling the Enzoic API. The solution always fails open, so if the latency exceeds what you have set here, a user can always access their account and we'll check it later on the back end. You can specify words under Custom Password Dictionary that you want to prohibit from passwords, such as those that might be tied to your company, location, or sports teams. And this is a contains field, so if their password contains the words here, the password will be blocked. Admins can receive periodic reporting under admin notifications, and you can customize the frequency of these reports. Under Email Settings, you can set up a custom SMTP server when sending email alerts to admins and users so that it comes from your domain. You can use Enzoic with different credential providers as well. By default, it's going to wrap the Windows default password credential provider, but you can configure a different one, for example, someone like Duo, under Client Settings. And here under Other Settings, you can choose if you want automated enforcement of NIST compliance and change the verbosity of the logs. Let's go to the Reporting tab. We start off seeing a report looking at password change events. Moving down to Continuous Monitoring, this report looks at checks and matches. And going to the Monitored Users report, here we see all of the users we're monitoring and their status. You can see if they're compromised and if they have their monitoring set up. Let's try refreshing the report in real time here. I have about 1,000 users in my test environment, and this is going to refresh all reports, and you can see here it did not take much time at all. Going to the Compromised Users report, this lets you see which users have compromised passwords in your environment. So you can see when it was compromised, the remediation action taken, and also get more details on the compromise. You can also see which users are sharing passwords in this report. You have full visibility with users with passwords set to never expire. You can see if any users have no password set. And you have visibility into stale accounts, which have not been logged into in the past 6 months. Moving on over to the test page. This is where you can see the policies that you have configured in action. Let me use a username from my environment. And now this is going to check the password I test based on the policies I have configured for this user. Let me try putting in Boston Red Sox for the password. And click Test. To nobody's surprise, this is a compromised password. And you can see here Enzoic would block it. These are the highlights from Enzoic for Active Directory. I highly encourage everyone to download a trial of the solution. It's free for up to 20 users, and you're able to use it, test it out, see if it's right for your environment. Thanks for watching the demo, and be sure to reach out to our sales team for pricing or other questions.